Mama V nearly got caught up in that traffic. Mr. Wam of Anko.
Okay, don't get it twisted. There's I think it's an accident.
Oh, sir.
Right before the Ofanko, the overpass at Ofanko. So it's it has caused heavy vehicular traffic on that stretch. Yeah, so that's it.
That's the.
I met vehicles using the other road, you know, which is not supposed to be used because it's for oncoming vehicles. So we used one side of that road, and that's how come I realized there was an accident on the other stretch. So it's causing very heavy traffic this morning. If you're expecting your workers in by 8, they may not get there if they live on that stretch.
Wow.
It's very heavy traffic this morning.
Wow.
Yeah. But there's also a broken down vehicle at Amasamai. That's also causing another traffic. So you meet traffic before you come and meet this other traffic.
That is if you're coming from the...
If you're coming from inside, yes, then someone end of the road. But let's say good morning to you. You've been missing.
Bonjour, bonjour.
You weren't
bonjour.
Chilling.
Bonjour.
How do they say chilling in French?
Isn't it winter?
It's almost winter.
Almost.
Yes.
You weren't chilling.
It's as if you're bleaching.
What then?
Please.
Why?
But tell us what you went to do.
Oh, well, first of all, to my Bokuman.
To my Bokuma.
Yes, I missed you very much.
To your Bokuman.
Oh, that's what it means?
Monk.
Did you just Google it?
I thought you said to your Bokuman.
No.
Did you just
I wanted to give a shout out
no.
to my man Aboku, but since it's not to your Bokuman.
Aujourd'hui, tu es très jolie.
Charlie, I think you'll be good at the language.
I also oho.
Okay. It's just...
So that's the meaning, eh?
I also oho. Oh no.
Oje,
Shall we stick to the newspapers?
Yeah. But what did you go and do?
Okay, so a few of us were invited by Airbus. You know, very recently the biggest aircraft landed in Ghana for the first time, about 14 years after it was created.
Must be nice. Be nice.
I'm being nice. And Airbus has a grand plan for using aerospace technology to help African countries solve their problems. And there are a lot of problems that can be solved with aerospace technology, from agriculture to taxation to healthcare to education. And they want to be at the center of all of that. Like every growing corporation, every global corporation, they want a presence in every country, in every continent. And of course, in other continents, there are more obvious and visible solutions like, you know, air travel and satellites and so forth. And they've already conquered those markets. So they want to see what Africa needs so that they can provide that for Africa. And it was a fascinating interaction. Look, Mama V, technology, it has gone far ahead.
Yeah.
We are now chasing it small.
We'll get there?
Gone ahead.
Will we get there?
We can, but I fear we won't. Just because it is not in the favor. It's not in. No, we can, but we probably won't.
Yeah.
Because it's not in the interest of our leaders to move us forward.
So what is Airbus doing for us as a country?
Well, they are offering all kinds of solutions. So, for example, they have satellites that can go across the country in minutes and tell you the composition of our soil, where it will be good to grow which crops.
From up there?
Yes, all from up there.
Yeah.
If our government tells us, oh, we've created 2,000 acres of shea butter, a satellite can run in seconds across the country and tell us, oh, it's actually 500 acres.
At what cost?
It's actually 3,000 acres. Now, there's the thing. The cost of satellites are coming down quickly. They want to set up something called, I think it's called OneNet or OneNet, which is a cluster of satellites across the globe, so that at any given time there are no blind spots on the planet Earth. They can see every inch of the planet, you know, at any time, and that will bring down the cost.
I'm sure in the coming days we'll begin to see what you're talking about.
Yes,
so
yes.
All right.
Let's
do the newspapers now. Let's go through what's making headlines, front, back pages of the various newspapers. I'll do the Finder and the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Finder first, front page of the Finder, it says NIA back in action, resumes mass registration at Adentan today. Like they can go off as and when and come back when they like, and all we have to do to just report. 2019 budget full of hope, according to President. UTAC, TEU hold KNUST Council to ransom. Prince of Wales calls on Nana Akufo-Addo. The benefits of RTI goes beyond politics. RTI coalition coordinator. Today is the 5th, by the way. The deadline is 15, so the clock is still very much ticking. Let's do the Ghanaian Times newspaper now. Front page of the Times. Shisha fatal to health. Mental Health Authority warns. It's got a picture of Dr. Akwesi Osei, the CEO of the authority. Also, more to benefit from a head of state award scheme. Prince Charles celebrates Akwesi Dae with Otumfuo. And then, I'm not in UK for treatments. Judge Anders says so, but I don't know who said he was in the UK. I think the reports when the accident happened was the fact that he had been airlifted to the 37 military hospital.
Or maybe he's just listing all the countries that he's not in.
Yeah. Egypt kills
confusion.
Coptic Christian attackers. But I think the good news is they say he's doing well, which is really good. Back page of the Times. Ministry of Railway Development begins repairing grounded trains. DVLA opens new office at Takwa. Those are the two stories on the back page of the Times, guys.
All right. Shall I do the Daily Graphic and the Business and Financial Times? Daily Graphic has these. Education Ministry mobilizes $1.5 billion. It's for infrastructure. $500 million of it will be to complete 766 GETFund projects. This was something that was proposed as one of the ways of ensuring that free SHS becomes sustainable by creating the infrastructure that it requires. So 766 GETFund projects are going to receive $500 million for completion. I hope that's enough, because we know how much it costs to build just one airport or to refurbish just one tarmac in this country. So I hope 500 million is enough to complete 766 GETFund projects. Also on the front page, Deputy Communications Minister responding to treatment. Yeah, he gave us all quite a scare there. Very happy to hear he's on the mend.
Speedy recovery to him and the rest of the team.
Yeah. Otumfuo hosts Prince Charles and Camilla to special Akwesi Dae. And on the back page, pedestrian killed on Tetequashi Adenta Highway. Also, court fines recalcitrant drivers 41,430 Ghana cedis for misuse of sirens and hazard lights. Oh, okay. I wonder how many drivers that covers and over what period. I also have the Business and Financial Times. Let's see what's in it this morning. Front page has these. Port reforms et al. Draws investors. Et al. Obviously means and others.
Hey, Mr. France.
My little boy will be listening and he will want to know what it means. AGI urges government to absorb cost on excise tax stamp. Also, accreditation board to aggressively weed out fake certificates. Those are the front page headlines. On the back, we have three stories. Bosumtwe Rural Bank share capital hits over 3.5 million Ghana cedis, exceeding minimum requirement by 257%. Oh, that's something to be happy about if you're with Bosumtwe Rural Bank. Moringa takes $5 million stake in B. Bovid, and this is the story of an impact investment fund which is into agroforestry, and it has taken a massive stake in B. Bovid Limited, which is a Ghanaian company. Cosmos Energy supports entrepreneurs with $500,000 US. And that is the Business and Financial Times.
Well, let's look at the paper, the Daily Guide. It has on the front page, NDC boys on rampage spill blood in Tamale. And then we also have same Daily Guide front page, Jamestown Kingmakers endorse Wiche Kojo. And we have Prince Charles visits Osu Castle, and UTAC snores KNUST progress. And Minister escapes death in crash, or in crash, it should be. You have the center spread, Prince Charles visit to Ghana in pictures, but we brought you those live feeds and the reports trickling in. And we have the Daily Dispatch newspaper. It says John Mahama's 2020 running mate, why it is likely to be an Akan. HIV/AIDS among the youth up by some 45%. Tewu accuses Yanka of interference in Kia University matters. And we have all that. But the last paper we want to look at is the Economy Times. The Economy Times has on the front page 10 banks likely to lose license or licenses. Depends on how you want to take a look at it.
Which 10?
Not mentioned.
It only says speculation.
It only says GC Bank, GCB Bank, EcoBank, Stanbic, GT, Consolidated, Zenith, among others, have already met the new capital requirement. But those that haven't, we're told 10 of them.
They haven't merged already?
Yeah, and they haven't taken any action. Looks like
maybe they're exiting
the next month. Yeah, possibly. BOG though tightens forex rules, and those are the stories pretty much we'll be looking at. All right. So and then
there's a story on page 11. This is the Finder. It says NPP inherited national corruption at its worst, attributed to former President Jerry John Rawlings. It says former President Jerry John Rawlings has said that citizens must help the government fight corruption, as government alone cannot succeed in doing so. He said, quotes, the current government owes its own survival to the anti-corruption crusade, unquote, explaining that some administrations who found the integrity level of the Provisional National Defense Council too high and intimidating made it a point to corrupt some of, quote, our national institutions in order to survive, unquote. Rawlings made the remark when he received a delegation of political leaders from Sierra Leone, led by former vice president of the country. So details of that, which some would find a bit controversial, on page 11. You can read the details of that story. But back to page 2 on this NIA matter. It says the National Identification Authority will today resume the mass registration and instant issuance of national identity cards to members of the general public. The exercise will be carried out on the Adentan municipality from today, November 5, and end on Saturday, November 24. A total of 50 registration centers will be used for the exercise. And the paper reports that at the time they were filing this report, yesterday staff of the NIA had set up their workstations ready to commence the registration this morning. So you want to take advantage of this? There's a lot more to the story on page 2 in the Finder. Where do you go from here?
Do you know, there's another story in the Finder that I wish we could pay a little bit of attention to. It's on page 5, and it's about the benefits of the RTI bill. So the Eastern Regional Coordinator of the RTI Coalition, Edmund Quainer, has called on members of Parliament to demonstrate their desire to contribute towards the reduction of poverty in the country and respect for the electorates of Ghana by passing the RTI bill into law. So he goes on to explain that, look, the thing is useful for everyone. It's not just for the media to be able to access, information, but it's good for everyone. Entrepreneurs can access information about data and statistics so that they can make decisions about how to properly direct their products and services. And the access to information is just a benefit to everybody. The only people who lose are those in power, who then have to become more accountable. Of course, more accountability is more work, less corruption. So anybody who is against the bill immediately marks themselves as a person who wants to protect the ability for leaders to be corrupt. And I heard K.T. Hammond, who's I have a good relationship with Mr. K.T. Hammond. I respect him greatly. But I heard him say that government will have no more secrets if the Right to Information Bill is passed. And I thought, what a crock of, I don't know the right word to use, poppycock. Go to the United States.
What's that?
Poppycock. It's a polite word for rubbish. Go to the United States.
What a crock of poppycock.
Go to the United States, where they have access, freedom of information. You can go into any public building and demand information, and you get it instantly. the state has some of the biggest secrets that are yet to be uncovered. People ask questions, about the JFK killing. The answers are known, but the state doesn't reveal them because certain information is protected. That's how the law is written. And that is how the RTI bill is written. So anybody who tries to convince Ghanaians that, oh, the state will no longer have secrets, first of all, who benefits from the state having secrets?
We discussed it, extensively on the show Friday. And we had Inusa Hussein, who himself is also a member of parliament, who greatly disagreed with Katie Hammond. And we had members of the coalition talk about the benefit to ordinary persons as well on the show.
Yeah.
So I think my understanding is that not everybody, in fact, majority of MPs disagree with Katie Hammond. And the coalition wants to go around and get commitment from individual MPs to the passage of this bill. So
the thing is on the floor of Parliament. They are discussing it now. They're debating it now.
Consideration stage.
But somehow we still have to go around and check with people individually. Are you in favor?
Well,
because that's how difficult it is to get this thing
First of all,
passed.
we have to push for them to extend their sit-ins so that they can debate on the matter much longer than they are doing now. Because otherwise, we will not meet the 15 November deadline.
Well, if it was
so
a
I think
loan,
that's the immediate step.
If it was a loan, we wouldn't have to convince
No,
them.
of course not. If they were on recess, we would have called them back for an emergency sit-in. So that's, we know.
For once, just for once, I wish politicians would at least deceive us that they act in our interest. Just trick us for once. Just pretend that when you do things, it's because of us. We who put you there.
Well, we nearly got it passed in the last parliament.
Yeah, it didn't happen. Guess what? It was stalled by the NPP after they won the election.
Yeah.
They were minority then in parliament. And for the first time in history, the minority carried the day in parliament.
I think both sides are on this. Both sides are.
Yes, that's the point I'm making. Because they both don't want it, the minority carried the day.
No, but it's because you
something
need,
that the majority had led through parliament to the point where it was ready to be passed.
Quorum of members.
Governor, it wasn't a quorum.
Okay, let's finish off because we have just a little time to go online. Roland.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about I was torn between the incidents of death, of fatalities on the Adenta Strait, but also the NIA. And I think I'll take the NIA because, Dr. Bawumia, who is the head of government's economic management team, always seems to give us a certain leverage as Ghanaians that we can dream. And dream that if we want to make sure that we want to get the right revenues, everybody has to be identified, etc. It is through the National Insurance Authority and the issuance of the identification cards.
National Identification Authority, you mean?
Yeah, it's not the NIA.
Yes.
You said national insurance, but you meant identification.
National identification cards. Now, at the end of the day, if for so long we've not been able to get the National Identification Authority going with the step-by-step timeline that it has given itself, for which it has publicly educated Ghanaians on or even broadcast, then it's a problem. We need to be giving feedback. Why is it that the NIA is not able to meet its own timelines that it has communicated to us? And the absence of meeting that timeline, how it's going to affect the overall objective of government meeting revenue, etc. Because let's know, a number of Ghanaians are outside the tax bracket, but we still have the same people being taxed on and on and on. And even though the government says through the Bank of Ghana that the macroeconomic indicators are good, all well and good, there's a current debate on social media, of course, instigated by Franklin Kujo of Imani about Nido and how its prices have increased. But that's just relative, because we have increments of goods and services across the board over the last couple of months. And perhaps we need to monitor some of these things to know that there's a certain buy-in and the will or commitment of government to make sure that we achieve its own promises that it intends or it has espoused to the rest of the Ghanaian community. And I feel that we need to do something about it.
Absolutely. All right, let's do myjoyonline.com real quick because we don't have a lot of time. So on myjoyonline.com, here we go. Royal visit Ghana. Britain cannot walk away from Ghana's economic challenges. Otumfo saying there. Cordell bemoans apathy in voter exhibition exercise. Men's goal to begin paying clients. Online platform to be launched Monday. Okay, we'll have sports after the headlines, so we'll bring you sport news. Minority MPs to meet over Northern Region Executive on pass. NPP afraid of my coming. That's Dan Akbodakpi saying there. There are some photos. Chef Bagbin Mahama spill sly at Hogba Chocho Festival. No reason to be poor. 2019 budget full of hope, President Ekufuado assures. But this is the big story that I thought we would share. Otabel, ICGC, 13 others sued for serious financial loss at Capital Bank. So the story says that the plaintiffs, Vish Ashiabo and Eric Nana Nipa from PricewaterhouseCoopers, say the bank's collapse was a direct result of defendants' misgovernance and willful breaches of banking regulations. The writ of summons named quotes the sins of each of the defendants and confirmed the financial autopsy report that said its founder, William Atu Essien, used depositors' funds as its personal or his personal piggy bank, unquote. So there's more to the story on myjoyonline.com. I encourage you to read the details.
These two individuals who are suing, they are from PwC.
Yes.
What is the personal damage to them? What was the reason why they are the ones suing?
I am not sure.
It doesn't say in the story.
I haven't read the entire story.
Okay.
This is just the opening. Yeah.
Interesting.
So I guess we have to go and...
Because, I mean, they work at PwC. If I recall, I may be wrong, but if I recall, PwC was the company brought in, to look through the books when this matter hit the fan at Capital Bank and UT Bank, if I'm correct. I want to double check, so I don't wish to be quoted on it just yet. But if they were, then you ask yourself, in what capacity are they suing? Because to sue someone, you must have suffered some personal loss, personal damage from their actions, for which reason they're suing. So I want to know whether they are customers.
So you have to read the entire story
yeah.
on myjoyonline.com. This one came in just this morning, so you can go to myjoyonline.com and read the details. Roland, we have a conversation right after sport this morning with Mr. Ken Thompson.
Yeah, and the conversation it's the debate that we keep having about whether if we borrow more or borrow much is the way to go. And then it's also sitting on the premise that once you have good ratings by those international credit rating agencies, it means that it gives you the leeway to go out there and borrow. And the other side of the conversation that has been used to justify why we go on the spiral that we are on currently is the fact that, well, the rest of the developed world, even other developing countries, have worse debt to GDP ratios, but then they also still go out there and go and borrow. But what we want to tease out from those who tend to make the statements in the financial sector is, do those countries have the type or structure of economy that enables them to go out and borrow, and so the economy can absorb? America is a typical example, and the other countries are also available. If you look at their debt to GDP ratio, it's so high, it's in several hundreds of percentages. But then their economy still is able to create enough jobs, is able to create enough stable environment for other companies to even start up and grow. So is that the same kind of environment that we have? And should that be the justification? Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that conversation, because there are three statements to be made about nations and borrowing. The first one is that borrowing itself is never wrong. It's what you do with it that matters. The second statement is that the NPP should not have pretended that borrowing is a bad thing, and so they should be voted in so that they won't come and borrow. And three, the NDC should have done better with what they borrowed. So I can't wait to hear what Ken Thompson has to say.
All right. Good morning to Sefam Lord Mensa. I know that you're watching the show. I hope you're doing well, girl. Stay with us. We'll bring you sports. Is Benedict and Selwyn. And after that, we have that big conversation on borrowing with Mr. Ken Thompson right here on the show.